John Doe is sitting alone at his kitchen table, staring down at a single sheet of paper. It's a job offer. The terms are crystal clear. The salary is printed right there in bold. The location is locked in. But the answer, well, it isn't obvious. He doesn't just flip a coin to decide his future, right? Instead, he sits in the quiet and starts weighing the realities of his life. He's attempting to distill this incredibly complex web of circumstances into one single binding decision. Inside his head, a very deliberate calculation is taking place. Should he take the offer? To answer this, he breaks the problem apart into manageable pieces. He's not just looking at the offer as one big chunk. He assigns a distinct weight to how much he actually cares about specific factors. Like, how much does the extra money really matter to him right now? Or how painful would it be to pack up his entire life and move to a new city? He's scoring his reality factor by factor before arriving at a final yes or no. Now, what's really fascinating about this breakdown is the underlying math of human choice. Think about it. John takes the value of each factor, say that undeniably high extra pay, and multiplies it by the heavy weight he gives it. He does the exact same calculation for the city factor, noting that he'd have to move, which carries its own heavy negative weight. He multiplies the value by the weight and sums the whole thing up. It turns out human intuition is mostly just rudimentary arithmetic. If that final total crosses some invisible threshold in his mind, he takes the job. If it falls short, he rejects it. Let's widen the frame for a moment. As of June 2026, we are surrounded by artificial intelligence that writes flawless code, generates breathtaking art, and parses oceans of data in seconds. But this exact human calculation we just walked through, weighing inputs, summing them up, and crossing a threshold to say yes or no, that is the precise mathematical seed from which every massive neural network operating in the world today is grown. We call this mathematical seed the perceptron. It was invented way back in 1958 by a researcher named Frank Rosenblatt, and it was directly inspired by a single biological brain cell, a neuron. It's quite literally the smallest brain you can build. If we strip away all the modern hype, ignore the massive data centers for a minute, and look purely at the raw mechanics, it's remarkably simple. It takes inputs, weighs them, adds a bias, and outputs a single yes or no answer. That's the whole shebang. Okay, let's unpack these layers. To truly understand the mechanics here, we need to shrink the problem down to the simplest possible question a machine can ask. Let's forget about job offers and complex data for a second. Let's just feed the machine a single number. The only question it has to answer is this number positive? If the input is a positive number, the output is true. If the input is a negative number, the output is false. So the absolutely crucial point here is how the machine actually makes its guess. It follows three basic steps. Multiply the input by the weight, add the bias, and check if the result is above zero. Simple enough, right? But there's a catch. At the very start, the machine's weights and biases are just completely random numbers. It has absolutely no idea what it's doing. It guesses terribly. The brilliance of this machine isn't in its first guess. It's in the fact that it is specifically designed to learn from its own mistakes. And this brilliantly illustrates the beating heart of machine learning. When the guess is wrong, we simply nudge the weight and the bias in the right direction. It's a slow, highly methodical loop of training. The error tells the machine which way to go, and something called the learning rate dictates the size of that correction. Small steps are careful, big steps are fast, but you risk wildly overshooting the target. We do this for every piece of data and one full pass over all that data. We call that an epoch. Repeating these epochs is exactly how the machine slowly learns. But, of course, reality introduces friction, because a raw weight alone is mathematically doomed if the problem shifts even slightly. Let's ask the machine a new question. Did a student pass an exam? And the rule is simple. A score of 50 or higher passes. Suddenly, our beautifully simple formula breaks down completely. Let's steelman this failure mode for a second. If we try to solve this exam problem without a bias, using only a weight, the decision boundary is permanently glued to zero. Because every single exam score is a positive number, a positive weight forces the machine to say every student passed. A negative weight? It fails everyone. A straight line forced through zero simply cannot separate a score below 50 from 50 and up. Your accuracy gets permanently stuck at 50%. But the exact moment we introduce a bias, that boundary slides perfectly over to 50, and accuracy climbs to a flawless 100%. This delivers a hard truth about artificial intelligence. The weight sets the steepness of the decision, but the bias? The bias moves the boundary left or right so it can sit exactly wherever the true answer actually is. When your inputs sit far from zero, a neural network is utterly paralyzed without a bias. It is the fundamental mechanism that allows the machine to actually adjust to reality.
Now, there's another hidden failure mode we need to expose. Remember that the size of the correction during training is multiplied by the input value itself. So when the machine reads a raw exam score of, say, 100 and makes a mistake, that massive number causes the machine's correction to overcompensate wildly. It violently lurches around instead of settling smoothly into an answer. The fix for this is normalization. We simply shrink the inputs to a small, tidy range. By dividing the raw score of 100 by the maximum possible score, we turn it into a perfectly normalized 1.0.
This becomes absolutely crucial when you're dealing with inputs that live on vastly different scales. Think back to John Doe at his kitchen table. His extra pay was measured in thousands of dollars, but the question of staying in the same city was just a simple binary 0 or 1. Without normalization, the massive numbers of the salary would entirely drown out the city factor. The machine would essentially just ignore it. Normalizing both factors to a shared scale of 0 to 1 ensures that every piece of information gets a fair say in the final decision.
So where does this leave us? Well, we have to honestly acknowledge the ultimate limitation of the perceptron. For all of its mathematical elegance, a single perceptron is still just one neuron. It makes one single decision, and mathematically, it can only ever draw one straight line to separate true from false. If a problem cannot be solved by drawing a single straight line, a perceptron alone simply cannot solve it. But the true power of modern artificial intelligence only emerges when you shatter that limitation. You take the output of one neuron and you feed it directly as the input of the next one. When you stack these neurons by the billions, layer upon layer, those rigid straight lines start to fold into each other. Unimaginably complex, tangled shapes emerge. That right there is how a network learns to recognize a human face or translate a language in real time.
Yet, I think it's worth a quiet, lingering reflection. Underneath all the modern complexity, underneath the massive humming server farms and the billions of parameters generating our future, the architecture remains remarkably humble. It is, at its core, just a tiny machine, looking at data and slowly learning from its own mistakes, one epoch at a time. Oh wait, a bias, a decision.
Please note this explainer is AI generated with Notebook LM drawn from The Smallest Brain You Can Build by Devarsh Ranpara. Informational only, not advice. If you've been enjoying the journey, like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. See ya in the next one. Thank you for listening. Take care.